Belinda. Welcome to Spark TV.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be chatting with you.
I know. I'm like, obviously for everyone dialing in now, we've just spoken for like 10 minutes because we haven't caught up in so long. So I'm just so excited to get into this chat.
Yeah.
Let's just start off by telling everyone who you are and what you do.
Yep. I'm Belinda Scott and I'm the founder of Puctto Holdings, which actually has two core products. One of them is Puctto, which is a virtual try-on tool for retailers, fashion retailers to install on their e-commerce stores. And then the second product, which has happened very quickly, is the Australian fashion platform, which kind of started out as a marketing tool for Puctto, but it's just sort of morphed into its own beast, which is so exciting. I'm super excited.
That is so cool. And I love this too, because like, why don't we try on clothes online?
Yeah.
This seems like, you would see it in a movie, like Back to the Future or something. But when you think about it, like, why don't we actually try on clothes first? Like you think it's 2023 people, come on.
Yeah, and I have been working on that idea for as you know, a really, really long time. But people weren't really ready. But obviously now with everything that's happening, COVID, so we went to launch. We were actually looking for investment just before COVID. We went to an angel group to do that, and then the pandemic was announced the very next day. Wow. So we sort of had to wait for all of that, and then sort of people got it. I think by the end of that year, people went, oh shit, there is a reason for it.
Yeah.
But then when we stood then, so I'm just going to launch into all this other stuff.
Yeah, get into it. Get into it. I love it.
Well, and then after obviously retailers, because that was their only sales tool, is that they didn't want to really insert tech because they were scared that it was going to break down their system. Yeah. We had some lovely ones that were early adopters that were happy to install it. But what was really good for us, though, was then just to go and talk to all the retailers. So I had so many meetings with retailers, talking them through, knowing that they weren't going to install yet, but they sort of loved the idea and were sort of, ready for it. Yeah. But that's the research that then led into the Australian fashion platform, because they were struggling to stand out on all the social media platforms currently. And because they're global, it's hard for them to get found anyway. Google, they obviously have to pay a fortune just to get ads up the top. So that's kind of where we went, well, shit, there's actually not really a really robust directory for just Australians, for shoppers to find fashion retailers, new and
And can you buy through the Australian fashion platform?
Yep. So the very, very first stage, so we've got like 5, 6, 7, five stages. The very, very first stage is literally just a directory listing that then opens their website. So you can just buy again or find new retailers that way. And then there's a whole heap of stuff within that. Obviously Puctto, the try on is going to be the second stage so that people can try on within the platform as well.
That's so cool. And you're so right. It's really interesting. So I guess COVID was like good in some ways, but bad in some ways. So from a business point of view, I think like it just messed with everybody. Yeah. But from a market point of view, it kind of forced changes, like changed consumer behaviors that would have benefited you.
Yeah, it was sort of like a big reset. That's what I just keep saying. It was a reset for everything, but and in the fashion industry as well. So and all of us really, wasn't it?
Well, totally. I mean, I think about it now, like living regionally, I now cannot try any clothes on, right? Like I now like and I think about that, like I'm one of those people that I'm like, I get so frustrated with shopping and I end up just buying the same clothes from the same labels because it's just
because that's right, and that whatever else. But that's the thing, there's so many. So the stats, so Shopify's done stats, and they're saying that there's 26,000 apparel stores in Australia. That's a lot.
It's huge.
That's their stats.
And I buy from like 5 of them.
And that's the thing. Like they can't get found. They might have some amazing clothes and accessories and everything everywhere, but no one can find them. So that's what I'm passionate about, supporting small business as well. So it's those sort of micro to medium retailers that you go, you know what? We're all busting our guts to get stuff done. We should all be supporting each other, and especially Australia now, because we are, things have had to change since COVID, and shipping prices, all of this other stuff.
Yeah. And you're so right. Like that, you're right. Like that's another thing, isn't it? Like actually being able to support local, like
Yeah,
where there is nowhere that you can go that is like, okay, yeah, I want to discover new Australian, like I want to support local, I want to
yeah,
shop from home. This is
yeah.
incredible. Like, so how did you come up with this idea? Like you said, it was supposed to be the marketing strategy for Puctto. Like
Yeah.
what was the
Well,
plan? How did it morph?
oh, it's funny. I this is so odd. I'm so sorry. I visualize stuff in my head. So if I can't see it as a video and it actually working, then, and because I'm a graphic artist by trade, I then mock it all up in my head. But a lot of the time I mock up the stuff that's way down the track, and it just, you know, oh, sorry, it sounds so weird. It just stuffs up people.
It annoys everyone because you're like, oh, I've got this grand vision.
Yeah, and they'll go, oh, here we go. And so that's what I've also learned is forget I know where I want it to go and where it is going to go, but it's just bringing it back to the very, very simple thing, which is actually still a really good idea because there isn't anything sort of like that. But it's kind of just, I just love listening and talking to people, and then just, it's almost like I can sort of see what their problems are and then just work out how to put it all together. Well, I think, that sounds a bit arrogant, but I'm not trying to be arrogant.
No, it's like a skill everyone should have, right? Like it's a really interesting point because that's what they say about like startups, about business owners. It's like you should actually be having conversations with people, figuring out what problems they have and how you can solve them. And that's the key to success in business.
Yeah.
So you're actually doing it.
Well, the problem is that you want, the hockey stick that they say your business has to go up like this with sales and stuff. That's true, but there's also a time where you do have to, it's just the talking, which doesn't look like anything to anybody else. But you know that you're doing the right thing, in that there's all small little steps to get to it, I think. So.
Totally. And I think that those small little steps can be pretty frustrating for some business owners because they're like, why aren't I viral? Why haven't I gone viral?
Yeah, that's right. It should have happened a long time ago. And,
Well, and we said that before we started recording, right? Like you and I have been in this for a long time.
Yeah.
How has it been building a tech product? Because I know that oftentimes tech founders have that kind of road ahead of them where there is that research, there is the tech build, and it's hard. Like I'm a big proponent of sell things first, but you can't always do that with tech, like because it takes such a long time if you sell it and then there's this huge lead time your customers
and so that's been part of our problem as well. So I guess when I started this in 2013, so it's like 10-year anniversary.
10 years to overnight success. I've heard that.
Overnight success, absolutely. So how it started for Puctto was that I was sitting at home shopping, because I love shopping online, always have. So I was sitting at home looking at the clothes, and because I'm a graphic artist, I was then taking the clothes out of into Photoshop, changing it over and then putting it on my body so I could at least see if the colour, I was like, what a nerd, the colour and everything.
So much. Like, when you're little and you have the paper.
Yeah, those cutout dolls, yeah. So it was kind of like that. And then I was sitting there going, well, why is no one doing this? So I don't know whether I was stupid or not, or it is what it is, a learning curve, is that they tell you shouldn't actually build product first. But I didn't know any different. And because I wasn't really a tech fan, I was a graphic artist by trade. I then found they were good developers actually on the Sunshine Coast, and they actually built, it was called the Snappy Dresser app. They built that for me, and it was only in the App Store for a few months because, again, another stupid thing, I took it down, but it had like 25,000 downloads, like in a small amount of time. And it was, and I kind of go, oh, if only I'd kept it. But then I kind of go, well, it morphed in. So the reason I took it down is because then I was getting asked by a couple of retailers, oh, I'd like to have that on my online store. So then it sort of pivoted and moved on, whereas hindsight's a good thing. And then it's kind of moved on from there. But then it was all the governance. So that's the other thing too. I didn't know all the governance and all of that stuff that goes behind business. So it was probably a really good 4 or 5 years of learning that. I had a terrific co-founder as well that came on board to help, and she was terrific at all that. So I learned a massive amount. So to me, it's all sort of gone in stages. It was sort of testing the idea initially, then doing all the governance and the business stuff, then sort of moving on and now taking it on back over to myself is then the re-strategizing, going, okay, I've learned so much in those 10 years that now I can sort of bring it all together. So
yeah. I know, and I really love that, because I think we undervalue time, and I think, you know, we do kind of like get mad at ourselves for, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, should have taken so much, why didn't I try this, or why did I make that decision? But it's like everything just leads to the next thing.
Agreed.
And I really strongly believe that it is us founders that just grip on and hold on and just keep going that are the ones that are successful.
Well, there is something wrong with this, I think, because just the grit and determination and the belief in the product. Like, I think if I wasn't talking to so many retailers all the time, and yes, they can just say nice things to you, but we've still got people installing, you know, the tech. And I'm not doing any advertising at the moment for Puctto because I've got some upgrades I want to do. But if it wasn't for that, and then the retailers sort of saying, yeah, you've got a great product, you're nearly there, keep going, you know, you would give up, because it's bloody hard. Like, no one tells you. You go blindly thinking, oh yes, I can do this.
I know, and it's hilarious, isn't it? Because I kind of reflected, I'm like, if anyone did tell me how hard it was, would I have done it?
Yeah. No, you wouldn't believe them anyway, really.
It's like childbirth. Like, everyone says that no one tells you how awful it is. I'm like, that's like business ownership. No one tells you how awful it is.
No, absolutely.
I probably shouldn't relate the two, should I?
No, but they're exactly the same. Like, I've got my 2 real children and my 2 baby products as well. So, yeah. No.
Oh, that's so good. I love it. So what have been, I don't know, if you reflect on the last 10 years, I mean, I love that you've taken everything as a step forward and as a learning. What have been the biggest challenges that you've had to overcome?
Probably money and funding. That's probably been the biggest thing, purely because it's taken so long and investors want to see that hockey stick go flying straight away for their investment, which is really hard when you know how hard you're working, and you're not taking a wage yourself, because there's literally, you're just doing everything on, minimal amount. And I think it's so important as well to find the right people. Like, I've been extremely lucky for each sort of stage of this journey, having great people that have just sort of come along, believed in the product and products, and I guess me a bit too, just so we can all sort of work together. Because you're the same, I'm sure. I'm so passionate about work and ideas and stuff that just it becomes so absorbed in that you need people like that as well, that are as mad as you are. Because I just go, I love going somewhere and they're just talking about my product, and it's not even about me big noting. Like, I'm not big noting, I'm not doing anything, but I'm so passionate about it. I could talk for ages about all the returns for retailers. You shouldn't be buying it all and getting free returns because it's not helping the retailers. So I've got a few issues.
I love that. So you mentioned investment. So has that been how it's funded to date? So
my husband and I have put in a heck of a lot over that time frame. Then we also went through the angel groups. So we've got Brisbane Angels investment, which is great, because as you know as well, it's probably more now, but it was only 2% of female founders do that investment. It's probably, I'm sure.
It's not even more now. We've literally, it's just the same. It's just no women get money. I
don't understand. But we've also then got other government grants, which is terrific. So, cool. We have been lucky with that. And then we're also just doing crowdfunding. So there's a company called My Crowd, which is
they do it for female founders, don't they? I've just heard about them. Cool.
Yep. And because I'm based in Brisbane, they're based in Brisbane as well. So that's been terrific. So we're actually about to launch with that too. So
what's that process like?
There's a lot of paperwork, but the other thing is too, I actually am really liking it, because they really do the due diligence, so that the investors and the everyday people, it's got to be done properly. And so kind of the process, I think, is more stringent than what angel groups or other investment companies do. So even just getting the offer document, we've gone back and forth so many times, and I've done so much updates to that. But it's good because I'm checking every single thing. So I feel confident, we've had police checks done, we've done, like that's not us, but they have to do that as well to make sure we're not dodgy. So it's, I'm really enjoying the process. And the other good thing is that the reason I went down this road was because after talking to so many retailers and family and friends who know I've been working on it for so long, a lot of them say, oh, I'd love to put in some money, I'd love to support you in some way. And so it's from $249 you can invest to get into some shares, up to, obviously, if you're not as sophisticated, up to 10,000.
Yeah.
But so we're just constantly just talking to people and just saying, hey, just so you know, there's no pressure, but if you want to invest to get some shares in Puctto, the Try-On and Australian Fashion, you can, the opportunity's there. So
that is so cool. And it's like, it's really, I love this idea of crowdfunding where it is like that, right? There are so many people that aren't sophisticated investors, but that do make a good wage and want to support friends, family, or just great ideas.
Yeah.
And I do love that my crowd is female founder backed, because, I was having this thought the other day that was like, I know we say, okay, only 2% of women get funded. How do we fix that problem? And I was reflecting on it and I was like, I think the only way we fix it is ourselves. I think women have to back other women. Like, we have to just
absolutely
pockets and support them.
And see, I've never when I was working in the magazines, my boss, she was female, she was female. She owned the business, and I think out of 22 staff, there was 21 of us that were female. So I've never seen the male-female thing so much. I've always just gone, well, we're all humans, we should be doing it anyway. So I've never understood the bias towards men, but I kind of think, well, you just got to go out and do it yourself. If you don't, you can't worry about, them running their own race. You just have to run your own race and find the people around you to help you, whether they are male or female. It's just,
I completely agree. Like, you can't get bogged down in the stats and how negative it is and how bad it is. Like, you are so right. You do have to run your own race if you're going to get anywhere. Like, you have to kind of go, I'm going to do it regardless.
Yeah. And I think we also have to be really careful. We're going for my tangent. I think we also have to be really careful, because then, I'm working with someone that's terrific, and he's a bloke, white bloke living in the city. There's not many grants and opportunities for him now, because he's the minority who's had all the funding before. So it's not like, it's that kind of fine line, but now he's on the other side of it as well, going, which I get, and it's all odd, but it's I appreciate the funding that we're able to apply for.
Totally. And it is hilarious too. I remember one year I was buying as like not business development, like personal development for staff. I was like buying business chicks memberships for the girls. And then I was like, for the guys, I was like, oh, I don't know what to, like, there's nothing for you. Like, women have gone out and created all of these platforms and networks and opportunities. And I went, I don't even know. I guess you guys just inherently are fine.
Yeah, that's right.
But it is funny. There are so many opportunities for women. Like, you do actually have to, I think, forget about the big stats and just look and research in your area.
Yeah. And just stay true to yourself as well. So,
And back yourself if you can. Like, if there are ways to actually launch something without funding, like do it in small pieces and get it to market, like actually just back yourself.
Absolutely. So
that's so good. That's a great message for women everywhere. Just back yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, good segue though. Like, do you think there's opportunity now to get started? If you had an idea today, is there opportunity for people to launch something new in markets today? And how would someone get started? What would be your advice if I woke up this morning, I was like, I think I have a brilliant idea. What would you say?
I'd probably, I was going to say talk to people, but you've got to watch when you talk to people, because they'll put their bias towards it, going, oh no, you won't be able to do that. Or because, that's the other thing. It's interesting. Over these 10 years, there's so many, I've spoken to a few people that I've told them about Puctto, and, and then they've quite often gone, oh, I had that idea 10 years ago. Oh, good luck. It's really hard.
You never did it. So,
and I know you've got to just be careful who you talk to. And so I probably scope everything out as much as you could. Learn online as much as you can, get the product and your idea sort of in a focus group. So for tech wise, I'm in Brisbane, and there's you know, River City Labs. There's so many organisations that you can actually go and talk to get mentoring and help. Just to sort of work out where you need to go, and even setting up your business structure and all of that. You need to have an idea on that, which I didn't initially. Working all that out as well. Well, the other thing is too, you can't spend all the money on setting everything up and then it actually doesn't fly anyway. So it's that fine line of believing in the product, but also being a bit sort of strategic on sort of where you go, I think.
Yeah, and I think you're so right. Like, just being a little careful on who you do talk to, especially before you have like nutted it out. Someone said that to me once, that they were like, never take advice from someone who hasn't done what you want to do. And it's so true, right? Because everyone is very quick to dole out advice,
their opinions,
when they're working in their 9-to-5 secure job.
That's
and
right.
not taking risk on business.
No. Well, and the other thing is too, it's even knowing now of getting NDAs, you know, non-disclosures signed. But it's that fine line of, a lot of mentors won't sign that because they see so many people, but it's also going, well, you've got to also trust the people that you're talking to. If they are someone that's just been recommended or just someone off the street, you do have to be very careful as well, I guess.
I remember at the start, we were like, they were like, oh, should we not tell anybody? Should we get NDAs signed? And then as I reflect, I was like, no one would do this.
No.
It's so hard.
Or keep doing it. Keep doing it.
Totally. Like, even, it's hilarious, actually. A girlfriend of mine who has a different kind of platform, she has been copied before, but they've never lasted. Like, she's just outlasted everyone. And
that's because she had the idea. So she knew the path forward and knew the end result of probably what she wanted, or, you know, kind of where it was going to go. So that's why it's fine copying someone, but if you don't know what the end goal was, you know, there's only so far you can get.
Totally. You're always just playing catch up, copying people.
Yeah.
I know. And it is interesting too, like, especially in tech, it's so expensive as well. Like, people won't steal your ideas because they don't have the money to steal your ideas.
to do it. And that's it. No. And it's also trusting your tech companies as well. We've been burnt before. I know I've spoken to you about that, but you know, that's again another learning curve. You know, 80,000, 90,000 down the drain of not getting anything, and you know.
Oh my God, I've been in the same situation. This is just a public service announcement. Totally. Well, I've wasted, oh my God, probably in the realm of that as well, like 100 grand on stuff that just throw in the bin. Like, and you think about, like, that's years of salary. If I was working and basically taking my salary and putting that into the development, and only to, like, it'll just blow up in our face. Oh my God.
And I stupidly quit my job way before I should have. So we've just been, you know, self-funding, living off, you know, what we've got.
Ramen noodles.
Trying to feed the children. No. So it has been extremely tough, and I'd recommend holding out as long as you can, because your product probably won't take off as quickly as what you think. 10 years later, still waiting.
I'm like, I know, I always say that to people too. I'm like, but if it does, great problem to have. Then quit. But
quit.
We're on the side of caution.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, there's nothing like, I find there's financial stress is the worst kind of stress, I think. You know, like, and if you quit your job, you are just adding in a layer of stress into this new baby business that's going to have all these other problems without, like, why would you do that?
I know. I don't know. I've often wondered. It is actually the hardest. I reckon that's more stressful, you know, than even someone taking 100 grand for not finishing a dev product. That was stressful, but at least it was out of my control. Whereas this was in my control. I could have stayed working for a job, but I didn't. It's that, you know, anyway.
What was so you mentioned you were a graphic artist and you were in magazines. Like, how did you get from that to tech? You know, you just...
Then there was a sort of then I did sort of wedding invitations. And so it was print. And so then we had, this is early on, I think like 2004, 2005, no, maybe 5 or 6. So we were in a few Nextra news agencies like very, very minimal. We were just very lucky. We sort of went in not really knowing what we were doing. Again, that seems to be the way.
I think that's the secret ingredient, though.
Yeah,
like a little bit of naivety, kind of, oh, I can do that. Yeah.
So I remember us walking in there and they just had a spare wall. Someone else had taken down some stuff and we went, oh, we've got some invitations. Can we put them up? And so we basically had this massive wall. But when you think about it, I think it was like by square footage, they've got some measurements and we had no idea. We just keep going back and restocking. Then my co-founder moved interstate and it all got too hard, but we did have them online for a while. So I kind of was doing sort of e-commerce very basically with that. Then in Brisbane, the floods hit in 2011. Oh, hang on, that was before. Yeah, so 2011.
Yeah.
And apps had only just started, as in like digital magazines and those sort of things. So it was early stage. The floods hit and I caught up with a friend at the time and she did sewing and patterns. And so I said, oh, we could do sort of digital or an app. And so we sort of went down that path and did sewing patterns, but again, and it was all printable with video instructions. It was actually really kind of cool.
Yeah.
But again, we were too early, whereas now it's everywhere.
Oh my God, I know. That's exactly what I was just thinking about. She would have done well during COVID when everyone decided.
Yeah, no, it was 10 years too early.
Something. Damn it.
10 years again. But anyway, that kind of just ended. And then I was sitting at home shopping online going, oh my God, I've got all this experience dealing with developers, building apps, all of this stuff. And I just went, no, this is, and so that's where it sort of morphed into the Snappy Dresser. So then it's sort of gone on from there. So I guess I've always just gone out and done stuff without realizing it, and whether it's that naivety or the stupidity or the
or maybe curiosity. That's a good.
Or give it a go.
Like, oh, I think I could do that, and then kind of go down the rabbit hole of figuring it out.
Yeah. And I guess I've also one of my mottos is that I don't want to be on my deathbed and not have given it a go, going, oh, I wish I'd done that.
Yes.
30 years ago, 40 years ago, or 50 years ago, depending how old I live. So I guess I do want to just try everything and just give it a good go. And also I guess show my kids that you can just do anything. It doesn't matter if you hate school, don't do well at school, don't know what you're going to do, because you'll find it out. You just have to find your passion and sort of go for it from there.
Yeah. And I love that too, that curiosity, because I see so many people get bogged down in thinking they've got to have it all figured out, or thinking they need to know what they want to be when they grow up, or what they, what the thing is. But it's like, no one knows. It's just, I feel like it's just, we're just stumbling into the next thing and the next thing and the next thing until we finally go, oh my God, I love this. And I'm willing to sacrifice my life for it.
Yeah, that's right.
So I do love that. I do love that it's been the next thing and the next thing, and having a great idea and just pursuing it and going, even if it didn't work, I took all of those learnings into the next thing that didn't work.
And that's the thing too, the world's changed so much, like, and even just with the metaverse coming up and all of the, which there's so much going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. But it's also, my son's in grade 12 this year.
Yep.
He doesn't like school. I hated school. He, he'll hate me if he ever watches this. He'll hate me saying this. But I remember in grade 7 or 8, we went to a parent-teacher thing, and they said, "Look, Jack, why don't you hand in your assignments and do your homework?" And he said, which I would have said the same if I had the guts to do it. He goes, "I just don't see the point of it. So why should I do it?" And it's kind of been like that. And he's now in grade 12, and I go, "Oh, I get it." And I know you do have to tick the boxes, but I just think learning has changed so much, and the world, that unless there's a certain path you need to go to uni for, I just think it's just all going to be different.
Oh, I so agree. I was the same. When I was in high school, I was like, I thought I was going to be a fashion designer. I ended up studying fashion at uni, and I just didn't get it. Like I loved that one subject that I had, and I just didn't understand why I had to do all of these things when I already knew what it was that I wanted to do. I remember like sitting in the car with my mom crying, going, I don't understand why I have to do all of this stuff. I already know what I want to do. But I love that too. Like, but the thing is, we reflect, and I'm like, that was 20 years ago. And schooling hasn't changed. And I'm like, yes, they have iPads in the classroom and things like that now. But it's like, you're so right. Learning today is so different. Like if I want to build an app, I can jump on, buy a course, teach myself how to code. You know, you see it on the news every now and again, these like 15-year-olds who are millionaires because they've learned to build an app. It's so different. Like it's just, it worries me about the whole school system. But I think it's also a good reminder to us, maybe us oldies, that it's like whatever we want to like learn or figure out is available to us.
Absolutely, I completely agree. So it's just it just comes down to not having the official paperwork, which is, you know,
like you said, unless there's a specific
that's right. Obviously, like, I'm not going to be a doctor.
Totally.
I'm a specialist. I did it online. Thank you.
Exactly. I'm like, I'd prefer my surgeons to have the piece of paper.
That's right. I'm fine with that.
Everybody else, everyone else, you have permission not to have the piece of paper. Oh my God, I love it so much. Okay, we could talk all day. Let's wrap this up. If there was a woman in business who is dialed into this right now and she is staring down the barrel of what you and I have stared down, which is a lot of hard work, a lot of challenges, is there a piece of advice that you might give her to keep going?
I think just make sure you've got your belief in your product. Don't just do it because you want to save face. Sorry, that's not a very succinct thing. Don't feel like you have to keep doing it because you've told people you have to do it. You have to really believe in your product and keep going. People can talk about how crazy you are because you're still going. You have to have that belief and determination, I think. And I also think find your peeps, find your right peeps that are around, and also talk to other founders that are going through. So I've appreciated talking to you over the years as well. And a few others as well. Just go, you find your people, because it is freaking hard. You don't realize how hard it is, and it's not just you going through it. We're all going through it, slightly different, but we're all going through the same shit. And it's just knowing that you're not mad. And
that's what it is too, right? Because like, especially if you don't have other business people in your life, and I didn't.
I didn't either, really.
Like I never knew. And look, you know, so I grew up in a family where both parents worked in the exact same business company for 30 plus years, which doesn't happen anymore. I never knew anyone I didn't even know you could start a business until I read a book, and I was like, hang on a second, you can just make shit up. So you're right. Like finding people to talk to so that you know that you're not crazy and that it is hard.
And also just finding, so I was really lucky with that female magazine owner, because she had the belief in all of us and me as well. So I could set up my own graphic design studio within her business. So I kind of always had that mentor without realizing how lucky I was, and that was actually abnormal and I didn't realize. So you just have to find people that inspire you to keep you going as well. So,
I love it. I love it so much. Belinda, thank you so much for sharing your honest story with Spark community. It's so appreciated.
No problem. Loved it. So thank you.